be free. Oh, free. It was hard enough for me to fight the storm. Were you hoping that I could keep us both warm? Hearing sirens playing from the start. Hearing sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. From the start. Hey, hey. Did you hear them sirens playing? Hear them sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. Hey, hey. Hear them sirens playing from the start.
Hello everybody and welcome to the second round of the Tasman Racing League Road Series in Season 2. This is Spa for round number 2 of the championship after our opener at Daytona last week. Everybody pretty tired of running Daytona, I would imagine now, so time to move on somewhere else here to Spa for round 2. 25 laps tonight in a race that is really just the gateway to getting our season underway properly, really. 2 Australian rounds to come in the next 2 weeks, by the way, after this one. The last of the European Grand Prix circuits, really, until round 8, which is a very long way away. So we'll savour this one while we have it. Be myself, Ian O'Leary, in commentary tonight with John Wright and Boone Blake with us as well. John, first of all, good to have you alongside me. Good to be on this series as well, the road series for the Tasman Racing League here at Spa tonight. 25 laps of racing ahead of us, qualifying just underway at the moment and very, very early on in a new season. So plenty of ambition, plenty of people wanting to win, heading in towards what can be a dangerous first lap round here.
Yes, so many points covered in your opening there, Ewan. Yes, good evening, folks. Almost said good morning. Yep, Ewan, an absolute pleasure to have Ewan leading the way here, of course. And yeah, round number 2 it was. Yeah, a bit of Daytona fatigue. All the leagues running Daytona at the start of the season, but yeah, we're here for round number 2. Race number 1 did not disappoint as far as the on-track action. The strategy, dramas, and of course that bus stop chicane. We've got a whole new bus stop chicane to deal with this week here at my beloved Spa. This Art Deco beauty from 1921 will be the site of another absolute classic here today. And Ewan, yeah, as you say, a lot of hopes, dreams and ambition. Unfortunately, much like the front wing of a lot of these cars, don't survive first contact with a wall or another car. So we'll see how the drivers got on today.
Yeah, indeed, and see how they get through lap one, which is always going to be and already going to be a point of contention between the drivers who have only just begun qualifying. Before we get to the session itself, the qualifying session, let's have a look at how last week's race went, because that effectively makes up the championship standings with only one round complete. Matt Webber leads by just 7 points in front of Lewis Bourget, with Patrick Robinson on the top 3, Nicholas Heath and Carl Douglas the top 5, Shannon Corbett in 6th position, at the moment running 3rd in this qualifying session, by the way, it's probably worth telling you. Chris Fitzgerald just in behind in 7th, ahead of Oscar Dobbins, Jeremy Newton and Martin Walker rounding out the top 10. 3-point gaps all the way down here, so Bradley Austin next to Zach Vlitstra. It's Stephen Scully and Lucas Blake, with Samuel Maida rounding out the top 15, Ben Christian next ahead of Damian Coates, Jordan Nelson, Manuel Dodera and Anthony Kappen, who rounds out the top 20 in this field. We've got 26 drivers who are currently in this session. As you can see, 27 have already scored points, including Greg Goodfellow, Dale Horn, Jay Stern, Matthew Sow, indeed, who I'm not sure how has got points, Darren Justice, Dylan De Bono, Daniel Vellicott, Martin Hallinan has not got any points from that first round of the championship. As I say, though, 28 drivers on that list there, 26 currently in the session at the moment, although only 24 of those have actually been able to set a time. We'll bring in Boone Blake a little bit to tell us a little bit about how that result has sort of been received, if you like, through the week. Boone, good morning to you from me for the second round of the championship. How did that first race go down? Because it was Daytona build-up week, really, where I can imagine everybody was very motivated, not at least to get this season underway, but also to almost use it as a bit of a practice for the 24-hour race, which at that stage was only about 48 hours away.
Absolutely, Ewan, and you certainly saw a lot of Porsches in our race last week. Everyone seems to be using that as the meta car, and that was the case for the 24, of course, as well. But this race in TRL last week could be summed up in one word, and that was domination for Matt Webber. Last season's champion led lights to flag. He never really looked like it was in doubt. It was a 2-second leader more for pretty much the entire race, and the story of this one is just going to be if anyone can stop Matt from repeating.
Yeah, he won half the races that he started last season on his way to a title with the number 1 on his car. He's looking dominant so far. As the qualifying session draws to a close, he looks like he's taken the pole position, unless there's an ultra surprise coming up towards the end here. He's got 3/4 of a second over the rest of the field, who are themselves actually very, very close together, especially for a lap time that is over 2 minutes 17. And that is going to make for quite a long race. It's the least amount of laps we've got all season, apart from the 24 Hours of Le Mans circuit, which we're going to be using for round 7 on the 5th of March. There are your qualifying results. Matt Webber takes it, as I say, by 3/4 of a second. Nicholas Heath is the one who's in second. Jeremy Newton and Shannon Corbett will share row 2. Samuel Maida, the first driver, over a second off of pole. David Noden is in 6th of Oscar Dobbins and Bradley Austin. They show row 4 together. Stephen Scully and Lewis Bugia will round out the top 10. Okay, you're going to have to drill that name into me. That's going to be quite hard work. Darren Justice and Carl Douglas are on row 6 ahead of Patrick Robinson and Martin Walker. Joe De La Rosa ahead of Matthew Colvin on row 8. Tim Pattinson only just in front of Rob Tilley. Ben Christian, Brody Daff round out the top 20. And then outside the top 20, Zach Vlitstra, Jay Stern, Greg Goodfellow, David Carney, and the two didn't set times, Chris Fitzgerald and Scott Wright. We'll see whether they get onto the grid here, John. But even if they don't, we've got 24 cars on the grid for this one, which is all good news. Matt Webber, though, is domination obvious again at the start of this qualifying session.
Yeah, his dominance last week was absolutely telling as well. Lewis Behager in the Porsche did the best that he could, but even in the Meta car, they could not stifle the Mustang of Matt Webber. And as you pointed out in your opening, he won half the races that he attended last season, and he's on for a 100% record this season at the start of it. 7/10 quicker than anyone else in the field. Behager himself, surprisingly, or not so surprisingly actually, I actually spoke to Lewis yesterday, and this isn't one of his favourite tracks. He is confident going forward of better performances later on in the season, but this is not a track that Behager is looking forward to, so this really does give some of the rest of the field a potential chance to somewhat close the gap on the two of them up at the top. But yeah, I do think this is going to be another Matt Webber show, I believe would be the correct terminology we're going to use for that one.
Yeah, I think so. Let's wait and see though, because they're on their way for the formation lap. You'll be glad to know they're not doing the whole 7 kilometres under pace car speeds. That would take about 5 minutes. They are just doing the short run towards the now the pit path chicane. It used to be just the bus stop chicane, which they would run down to. That really wasn't any warm-up lap at all, but there's a little bit more time these days to get heat into your tyres. And one thing, Boone, before we get going here, that warming up of tyres much more of a factor these days. Not necessarily new in GT3 racing anymore, but it's still definitely a factor, and the track temperature not so warm today, so warming up these tyres on the formation lap, very important.
Absolutely. It's going to be crucial for all of these drivers to just get through the first few turns. Obviously, after that, the tires will start to warm up a little bit, the pack will space out, and they're going to be able to breathe a little bit easier. But you're just looking for any advantage you can get through turns 1 and 2, and as long as you can get up through Eau Rouge, and with your tires intact, I think these drivers are going to be fine. You just want to take any little advantage that you can get, and I think that's why we see so much warming of tires on the formation lap, even if it's good for 1 or 2 places. Those are places that are easiest to get on lap 1 than anywhere else.
Yeah, they certainly are. 5 different manufacturers in the first 3 rows, as you can see, represented. The Mustang, the McLaren, the Ferrari, the Mercedes and the Lamborghini as well. They all stop weaving now, though, and get themselves ready for a race start. Matt Webber will be in control of the field after his domination in qualifying. Nicholas Heath there showing himself through the bus stop. Oh dear, and he makes contact with him coming out of the chicane there. Very disorganised start. It's going to be Shannon Corbett who's immediately going to take 3rd place. Nicholas Heath there, completely dumbfounded by the side-to-side contact he made with the Mustang, and he's down to 4th place already. There is Heath. Not the ideal start after being so attentive initially, and now has hit the back of Corbett, has lost momentum. Samuel Mader is going to get the run down the hill here and slip straight through into 4th position. Nicholas Heath there, John, with the less than ideal start.
Yeah, that is not what you want at the start of a race. He's absolutely bogged down there. Slight contact, finds himself going side by side and tumbling down the order. He's lost 3 places in the opening 2 corners, which is absolutely, as you were just saying, Ewan, so important to get these lap 1 positions, and Heath has done the complete opposite there, although he's just taken one back from Corbett as they go side by side into the Melody Complex. They're going to go through there side by side. He's going to pop his nose back out in front. Heath taking back a spot early doors. Let's go Spa.
Absolutely, this is the kind of racing you see at this venue. A look down the inside there from Dobbins, who's also made a decent start, up 2 places for the British driver into the top 5. Past Samuel Mader most recently. There you can see the movers and shakers up and down the field. It's David Noden who's dropped down furthest, unfortunately, 5 places down after starting on the 3rd row of the grid. And so far, up 4 positions is Chris Fitzgerald, although you could say that one of those is just the race director, which doesn't really count. But even so, there's lots of positions being gained further down back in the pack. Now Dobbins up at 3 places, past Shannon Corbett as well. So yeah, very strong start indeed to be moving up. But you can already see the front of the race splintering here, and this group sort of on backwards from Dobbins and the rest of them a lot closer together. Look at the gap that Matt Webber's already got.
Yeah, Matt Webber very much doing Matt Webber things. He's going, as we see a Porsche just running wide. He's lost connection to the tarmac there, out with Stavolo and heading towards Blanchimont. That is going to be another position lost. But yeah, Matt Webber very much doing Matt Webber things. We're not even going to call them champion things anymore. We're just going to call them Matt Webber things, because there he is, already at the final chicane, and the rest of the field is still coming through sector number 2. He's got that much of a gap, and he is left the rest of the field, Ewan, absolutely fighting over the scraps from the table as they all come through the final chicane. Outside the top three, very close indeed, but certainly Webber doing exactly what he needs to do and really is running away with this one already.
That was close again into turn one. Look at that, the stack up there. I think it was Darren Justice who nearly got hit there. Yeah, they've all stacked up as a result. The concertina effect in towards La Source, but it's not really there where you're likely to make the move. It's up the other side of the hill here and up in towards Les Combes. Turn 7 on this racetrack as they now tuck into the slipstream. Can that Porsche be used to put to good use again like it was last week here on the way towards Les Combes, the right-hander? In fact, it's Justice who's probably getting closer to a move on Samu Maida. He's just looking to stop the bleeding at the moment, really. 2 places lost on the first lap, down to 7th. He's got to make sure that number doesn't grow further.
Yeah, and Darren Justice, he is looking to do himself justice this week. I've waited all week to use that one. He's up 3 places already, and he's got Lewis Bahadur, who's on a good start. Didn't do well in qualifying, certainly by Lewis's standards. He'll be recovering after a blip on the oval yesterday, but he's made up a spot himself and Darren Justice looking to make their way through the field. No really egregious drops down the order. Big shout to Chris Fitzgerald though. He's made himself up 5 places at the start of the race. Brodie Daff has gone down 4, but certainly Fitzgerald, the biggest gainer that we've got so far in the field, he will be very, very, very happy with the start he's got so far. David Nodden, on the other hand, he has gone the opposite way. He's dropped 5 places. There's all kinds of battles going on. In fact, they're side by side behind them, Ewan, as Walker and Douglas are going at it out with Stavolo. Still very close in the mid-pack, but Matt Webber, he's out of here, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would terribly say.
Absolutely. 3 seconds is the gap after 2 laps here so far. And this is very much what we expected from the opening stages of this race. And he's delivering it right now. This is the chasing pack, if you like, and already the scrap for second I think is going to be going on here. Jeremy Newton, Nicholas Heath, Oscar Dobbins, all fighting for second here, and it's not unreasonable to suggest that is what they can achieve from this race so far. There's going to be other groups, of course, to watch throughout, but this is the most advanced of them. We mentioned no egregious drops down the field just for the moment, but that unfortunately changes now as at the final corner Zach Vleetstra goes around into a spin. See how it happened here? Just getting on the power too soon in that big Mustang and going for a spin just looked as simple as stepping on the power too early.
Yeah, exactly right. You cannot mess with the back of the car around this course at any point in time. It's much like the Nürburgring. A lot of corners set you up for the next corner, and if you are too forceful on the loud pedal, the back of the car will overtake the front, and that is not the type of overtake you want to be making on any racetrack. That will not see you doing well, and certainly the Mustang finding the wrong way around. We did have another couple of incidents as well. This one, Brodie Daff will take a quick look at. This isn't at turn number 1.
Whoa.
Big send. Almost collects the driver in front and finds himself out making sandcastles for about 10 seconds. Plenty of sand and gravel back on the track, but yeah, positions dropped there, and Chris Fitzgerald as well. Oh, so this was Chris, avoiding action. So he saw it coming. Oh, I tell you
well
what.
Done.
What an avoidance that is, Ewan. That's absolute Jedi reflexes on display there.
Yeah, and the awareness as well, not just the actual reactions, but the awareness to look in you or see that happening in your mirrors so late, because he started to turn in once and he just backed out of it because he realised that had he actually taken his normal racing line there, he would have absolutely been taken out. So that was very, very good awareness indeed, as well as the actual reactions to stay out of trouble there. But that's what it's all about in these races. You can't score many points from the pit lane, so you've got to stay out of trouble as best you can. This is Shannon Corbett versus Bradley Austin for 5th position at the moment, as the top 6 or so begins to sort of split off into 2 driver battles really. Still personal best happening though, even through the end of the 3rd lap here, And that is interesting to note, really, that they continue to go faster. In fact, the only one not to go any faster in the top 11 was Nicholas Heath, who wasn't quite as fast as his personal best on the last occasion. They are going to continue to just get quicker, these guys, in the early stages. As we go back to another three-car battle for 7th position here. Lewis Bahagia in the 9th position, just in behind. Darren Justice is not going to be able to get through, I don't think. That Corvette seemingly holding him off well in terms of the straight line, and the Mustang in the background, Stephen Scully, holding on well as well. Seems to me, Boone, that maybe the slipstream on the run towards Lecon, maybe it's too early to say this, but is maybe playing less of a role so far, or do you think it's sort of different manufacturers fighting with one another that's making the difference at the moment?
I think so far, I don't think the pack is spaced out enough for that slipstream to make a huge difference in overtaking. Right now, most cars are still close enough together that they at least have some kind of a slipstream from the car in front, and when they don't, like in this situation that we're watching, we're seeing Samuel Meter put on enough of a defensive driving clinic, using the dirty air from his car to block the cars behind to create almost like a DRS train, like what we see in Formula 1. Obviously no DRS in this situation, but it's a similar effect where you get one car at the front and he's stacking cars up behind him. They can't overtake in the slipstream because the cars in front also have the slipstream. I expect we'll see this start to thin out a little bit as the pack separates further and further on pace over the coming laps. Coming up to our pit cycle starting around lap 10, I imagine by then we'll see the slipstream start to make some inroads.
And just tell us a little bit about that pit cycle. 25 laps on the books tonight as Samuel Medic seems to get out the way here of Justice and Buhagia, who are not going to say no to that opportunity. Tell us a little bit about the pit window or what we're expecting from that over the course of these 25 laps.
So what we often see in TRL is we'll see our drivers make one mandatory fuel stop. They don't carry enough fuel to finish the race from the start, but we'll usually see them at least attempt to run one set of tires all the way to the end of the race. So fuel is the limiting factor, and you'll see them come in a couple laps before the midway point, spanning to a couple laps after the midway point. I think it might be different here though today because we have a 25% chance of rain on the forecast. So I think a lot of these guys are going to try to stretch it out as long as they possibly can on the first tank of fuel, just in the hopes of catching that rain, because if you can come into the pits at the same time as the rain and only make one stop, it has the potential to just catapult some of these guys up the order.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point to make here about the rain, because it is a slimmer chance than it is likely, but it is still absolutely there, as we have another look at Justice coming back on Bahagia, who made the overtaking towards turn 1, defends well into Lecon that time round on the outside line. And look at Justice here trying to work his way maybe through into Bruxelles. He's not going to manage it there either. You get the feeling, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, John, that Bahagia may be qualified a little bit further down than maybe what he finished last time, which is certainly true, but the question is, what are the reasons for that? Does he not particularly like Spa, or what was going on? Well, it seems that he seems to be racing okay, just starting a lot further back than maybe what he was hoping for.
Indeed, yeah, as I say, I spoke to Lewis yesterday after the TRL Oval Series. If anyone's interested in oval racing, by the way, get yourselves over to TRL, phenomenal series. But yeah, he did well at the start of the race yesterday. He binned it, unfortunately, so I spoke to him after the broadcast, and he did say Spa, not his favourite, of course, being such good friends with Lewis and liking Lewis so much, it really broke my heart to hear him talk about my beloved Spa in such a way. Oh, and I can see why, because he's out on the gravel twice there. He's going to go out on the gravel again, and that is going to be the easiest overtake in the world for Darren Justice. And in fact, Samuel Mader might even come back. But yes, certainly, Ewan, Lewis is not at home in Belgium. No Belgian biscuits for breakfast for Lewis. He's not a big fan of this track. But for someone that's not a big fan of the track, he seems to be doing okay. Still holding that top 10. He's got himself in this phenomenal three-way battle that we're being treated on screen. And yeah, he's going to need to pull something out in the pit stops, I think, to try and get himself a bit of a breakaway and a couple more positions for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. This championship's still very young, with this being only the second round of the championship. We're racing all the way, by the way, to the end of March in this series. Mount Panorama will host the finale. We've got, as I mentioned, an Australian doubleheader coming up next, but those are the last two Australian rounds until we get to Mount Panorama. the very end of this season. That'll be a 25 lap race like this one. Coming up a little bit later on in the season. This is Buhagiar again looking to get past Darren Justice in towards Lecombe if he possibly can. I think the Corvette has held up very well in a straight line so far actually, and that Porsche not able to get on terms this time around. And to be honest, they're only losing time to the top 6. They gap over 6 seconds in not even 6 laps because of this battle. Buhagiar and Oscar Dobbins, meantime, has gone for a spin. So it's all happening inside the top 6 as Buhagiar tries to get past Justice, who really parked it on the apex of Malmedy, and that prevented him from getting anywhere. As I say, Dobbins drops to 6th position.
I'll bring up a replay of the Dobbins incident here. So just classic oversteer moment there, Ewan. The long nose of the Mercedes was very well planted. The back end of the Mercedes less than so, and that is a couple of positions very quickly lost for Dobbins there. Unfortunately, because he was having a very good run at the start, he was mixing it a couple of places up, and it just, this is Spa doing Spa things really, Ewan. The back end of the car goes, you touch the gravel, and suddenly you are behind the 3 competitors that were chasing you down. Yeah, absolutely. It's a punishing racetrack when you get it wrong, and it's very easy to do just that, as we have not seen from Mark. I've done it. There it is, first one. I've said Mark Webber. It's Matt Webber, of course, who's leading the race. 6 laps complete. Jeremy Newton into pit lane already. Now then, is this a little bit too early there, Boone? Because we're not really close to the halfway mark. In fact, we're not even at the 1/4 mark of this race. But Jeremy Newton deciding that now is the moment to come into the pit lane for his, I guess only stop will be the hope. But is this going to be the only stop of his race? This is very, very early.
This is very bold, Ewan, and I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It's Jeremy's from such a good position. He was running in the top 3. I think what I imagine he's doing is he thinks he can stretch his fuel to the end from here, or he's banking on the rain coming and beating everyone there. Either way, this is a risk that I'm not sure I will see getting from the top 3. Yeah, Boone, your mic has gone slightly underwater, my friend. I'm not sure if you need to stand in a slightly different position. I think we caught the gist of what you were saying there, but certainly was breaking up ever so slightly. All letters of complaints to Boone's landlord. Get that Ethernet port in, please. We'll see if we can get a bit of a better connection for Boone, as we've got another crash replay coming up, Ewan, and it's another driver in a Mercedes all on his own, about to lose the back end.
Let's see. Well, very wide through La Source.
Oh, okay.
That'll be it. Just running too deep into the first corner there, and going very, very, very slowly through the first corner. This is side by side, a little bit further down the racetrack into Lecombe. Neither driver wanting to back out. Oh dear. And in the end, Brody Duff, who was in the Ferrari there, didn't actually make the corner. Jay Stern managing to get that position in the end, but that was a bit strange there, John, to be honest. Duff there almost convinced himself somehow that he'd missed the corner, but I think he could have made that.
Yeah, I think that was one of those panic moments where you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to hit the driver next to me. Oh no, everything would have been fine. Now I find myself off track and trying to get back on again. So yeah, it's certainly one of those. He had visions of carnage which did not come true, and it's cost him another run off track. I just can't get over Matt Webber. It's just absolutely ridiculous, the pace that he's got over the front unit. He is dominating the field, and to be honest, I think mistaking him for Mark Webber, I'm pretty sure if we checked Matt Webber's family tree, Mark would probably be someplace close given the talent that Matt has got here. It seems to run with the Webber name down under.
Yeah, I'm happy to go along with that. That's a reasonable suggestion, I would say, based on the pace that we've seen so far. But will he bottle the championship with about 4 rounds to go? That's the question. Well, clearly not. Based on last season. There you go. Love it. Bit of a 15 years old joke for you there. Meantime, battles up and down the field are very much consigned to the midfield at the moment. Look at that, by the way. Darren Justice at the head of this from 6th place right the way down to 15th, you could argue. Tim Pattinson last involved, although there are a couple of gaps of more than a second in the middle of all that. It is basically all one long line right the way through, and you know, this is absolutely Spa, isn't it? You know, a massive group staying all the way through, but you know, normally when you see a big group like this, you worry, oh, nobody's overtaking one another. That's a bit of a letdown, but that's not the case around Spa. You always know that you've got a chance at overtaking around here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favourite courses for that very reason. There are so many overtaking opportunities that you can take advantage of here at Spa, and it just, even for someone with as poorly talented as I am, or such a lack of talent as I've got around this course, it just, you really do feel like a race driver when you are hanging on to the steering wheel, especially through sections like this. Your Blanchimont, Eau Rouge, Radion. There is no greater feeling than a fully laden Ferrari 296 over Eau Rouge and Radion and onto the Kemmel Straight, and then that side by side that you're hoping for into the Melody Complex, Lecum, of course. Just, yeah, such a fantastic course, and really has stood the test of time. Built back in 1921, and before anyone starts, that was actually decades before I was born, so we'll just pipe down in the chat. Thank you very much before George and Isaac start throwing shade. But yeah, as you say, we've got very much Spa doing Spa things here today, Ewan. We've got the top 2-3 absolutely checking out, and then we have got a procession of drivers who at the moment, this is not a comfortable position to be in, really. You're absolutely sweating bullets because you know Spa is Spa. You've got drivers all around you. You don't even need to make a mistake and you can find yourself losing positions. You need to be on point every single corner exit, and these 8 drivers here that are sharing the screen at the moment are certainly driving equilibriously. I would say they're absolutely matched corner for corner, and we can see the gaps changing by a couple of tenths here and there as soon as someone does have a little bit of an issue out of one of the corners here. But certainly this group here, Lewis Buhagiar trying to get his way past Darren Justice, Meader, Douglas, Noden, Scully, De La Rosa and Fitzgerald, all exceptionally close, and yeah, we could see an overtake here at any moment.
Yeah, we certainly could. These 3 have slightly split themselves away from this now. Or as Patrick Robinson gets the slowdown penalty there, you can see we'll have to slow that, or serve that, sorry, through this Bruxelles corner. Not the worst place in the world to have to serve it. Normally, if you have to serve them through the corners, you don't lose quite as much time as what you do if you have to slow down on any of the straights. Darren Justice is doing a very good job of holding on to the well, I was about to say race lead. It feels like it with the distance to the others, but 6th place at the moment with the others queuing up behind, which you could definitely say Stephen Scully's a part of, and that's at least 6 drivers who are in this group. But as I said, Joe De La Rosa and others are not too far away as we go on board with David Noden, the last driver inside the top 10 at the moment, and probably the closest driver to the driver in front of them, Carl Douglas, just kicking up a little bit of gravel. That's a good exit though out of the Kerpel Fret, and a good run towards the bus stop chicane, which is exactly what you need to defend around here.
You absolutely need to be on point, especially through this section. As you can see, Douglas just using every millimetre of the track to try and maintain as much momentum as possible through Blanchimont. That's a big send up the inside into the final chicane. Has he made it stick? Oh, he's going for the pits. So we've got more drivers coming into the pits, and that's on. Oh, and the Porsche's on a wiggle on the way out. The Porsche on a wiggle on the way out. Samuel Meader comes in, and that is another car having a bit of a wiggle out with the last corner there, Ewan. That makes, yeah, that corner is becoming a bit of a, I was going to say hot spot, but it's maybe a bit of a cold spot because the drivers don't seem to be able to find much grip through there.
No, not at the moment. It's been a place where we've already seen spins so far tonight. Here is Lewis Buhagiar in the Porsche, just trying to get into 6th position. Seems to have a slowdown based on that yellow flag next to his name. So I wonder whether he'll try and serve that for. Oh, maybe not. Oh, he's down the inside of Darren Justice here. And oh wow, he was on the gravel there. He was going straight on. He was very nearly going straight into the side of the Corvette alongside him, but he gets away with it. And Justice keeps the position. There's no contact between the two of them, and they continue on. And Buhagiar actually makes the time up there. that he must have got over the top of Eau Rouge quite impressively, that he was able to serve that actually without losing any time. So he actually went for an overtake while he was trying to serve that.
Yeah, that is the levels of annoying that Lewis Buhagiar is. He is a genuinely nice person, he has got a phenomenal sense of humour, and he's a really talented driver. And only Lewis could take a slowdown while attempting an overtake and almost make it stick. He has thrown himself under the bus ever so slightly, with David Noden now really pressuring him, and the gap has split completely the other way, so Lewis is going to have to rebuild again. But certainly, as I say, taking a slowdown while being attempting an overtake, it's not the easiest series of events to deal with, and Lewis dealt with it pretty well there and almost got his full reward. We do have a battle going on as a C, for third position, actually. Podium battles coming into contention once again, as we've got Corbett and Dobbins this time, Ewan. It is Mercedes versus Ferrari. I think, well, no, it's not, because the Ferraris come into the pit, so that's that battle done and dealt with. And in fact, we'll check on Boone. We'll see how his microphone's getting on, and see if he can give us any update on the pit stops, because we're starting lap 10, we're starting to see the drivers start to come in now, Boone.
Yeah, is my mic any better now?
Absolute crystal
Yes.
clear, night and day. Love to see it.
Outstanding. Viewers, if it gets worse again, you can submit your complaints to Deacon Property Services at 1408 North Carlisle Boulevard, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Anyways, we are starting to see a lot more cars come in for the pit cycle now. Lap 9, lap 10, lap 11. The interesting thing to me is that none of the front runners followed Jeremy Newton in. It seems like they've taken a look at his strategy and they've said, we'll pass. We'll let you do that. We're going to come in right around lap 10, which I will point out is where I predicted the pit window will start.
Yep, well done.
So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see. We're going to see how long it takes Stephen Scully to get out here, and we'll have an idea of about how long the average pit stop takes here. From my understanding, it's usually around 60 seconds. That one was about 54 for Scully. So drivers can expect to lose almost a minute in the pits. I expect, now that we've seen now that we've seen a few come in, we're going to see pretty much the entire field follow within the next 2 to 3 laps.
It's very much that pit window that you mentioned, and if it is even as far as either side of halfway is concerned, then everybody will have done their pit stops in the next 5 laps or so. We can already see that about quarter to a third of the field down the back end have already done it. Just not very many of those top contenders so far. Buhagiar off the road, and David Noden is not going to pass up that opportunity either. You just wonder whether it would be worth Buhagiar coming into the pit lane here, because look at the gap to Justice now. A driver he was once pressuring for 6th position, as it was at the time. He's nowhere near him anymore.
This is already through Blanchimont, as these two are scrapping their way out with Stavolo. So yeah, good call. Buhagiar could well look to come into the pits. As I say, we're well in the pit window and he is losing time. Just get in. Fresh set of boots on the car. Nice deep breath. You've got a minute to gather yourself, which we don't have yet. They all come filing in, because these three are having themselves battles. But 4, oh no, and then 4 becomes 3. The Ferrari dropping off the back. Rob Tilley getting himself involved. They're going to go side by side on the way into Blanchimont. Oh, and that Lamborghini has got no choice but to fly past it inside, because the Mercedes has got no nose, which means he's got very little in the way of front end grip. The Ferrari's going to come flying back. Oh, and they made contact, Ewan.
Yeah, he doesn't really know where to go at the moment, Tilly. I think he's just trying to get to the pit lane without causing any further trouble, but at the moment he's causing a lot of further trouble. Jay Stern makes sure not to go down the inside there, because that could have caused disasters as well, but the Mercedes gets in pit lane now without any problem. Jeremy Newton then becomes the best placed of the drivers who've made a pit stop so far in this race. That's something going to be taken over though by Oscar Dobbins, who's on the inside of the first corner there as he comes out of the pit lane. He is now the best placed of those who have already stopped so far in this race, but lots of stops having happened here on lap 11. You see Dobbins and Bradley Austin have both made theirs. David Noden, Lewis Buhagiar as well as Carl Douglas, and lots more happening a bit further down in the field. So actually there's only the top 4 now who haven't stopped, and Jay Stern, who carried on last time around, and David Carney, who's quite a long way down the back of the field. Not very many drivers having not stopped now.
We are certainly fulfilling that pit window as been predicted. David Carney looks like he's got a black flag. So I'm not sure what he's done wrong where, but Lewis Behager, he is getting it done right now. Is easy round outside the Ferrari. Oh, the back end of the car's gone. He's taking a little bit of a tap. Oh, and it's a bit of Porsche on Porsche action. And he's kept it out with the wall there. So unfortunate on the way in. Very close to making it through there, but coming out on the cold tyres, Ewan, it absolutely catches you out. It's all fine and well warming up the tyres at the start of the race. You don't get a chance to warm them up coming out of the pits, especially at a course like this. You're up the hill, you're onto the Kemmel straight at high speed, and then you are hoping that all the cold air has somehow warmed the brakes to make it through that section. But Lewis Behager, who does not like Spa at the best of times, will not be loving it now, and I think he's picked up some pretty severe damage. It looks like that car is crabbing at the moment.
That's Brad crabbing there. That's very... Oh no! He's never going to control that, and he spins off through Pouant into the barrier hard, and that'll be that, you'd imagine. Patrick Robinson was taken out in that, by the way. He had to go into the gravel to avoid. I mean, how Behager's still actually trying to carry on here is amazing. But, I mean, look at if we can look at his steering angle again here, I think he's close to, or well over 45 degrees at the moment. Over on the right. There you go. That's close to 90 degrees. Goodness me. That is heavy, heavy damage. How he thought going at Pouant at that speed was a good idea, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, he's now just being more sensible and staying out of everybody's way. But this is going to be a damage repair for him down on pit lane. And a real shame to see a race end in that way, as he picked up too many incidents, by the way, as does David Carney. You can see their black flags next to their names. That's very, very, very severe damage, as the field is now complete in terms of pit stops. Matt Webber still leads by 10 seconds.
Yeah, Matt Webber, he is gaining almost a second a lap, and that has included his pit stop as well. So slick through the pits. I've said this before in endurance racing. There is multiple facets to being a successful race driver. It's not about being quick. You can be quick all day long. If you can't be consistent, if you can't be good through the pit stops, if you can't be good with your strategy, the pace counts for absolutely nothing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, enter Matt Webber. He's got it all. He really does. He has been in and out of the pits like an absolute rocket. And in fact, if we have a look at the pit times, he's probably got the quickest pit time out of anyone. Oh no, 25.5. Heath did a 25.3. So it was a second quicker. The rest of the field all in the 25 second to 26 second mark. But Webber, yeah, an 8.5 second lead, 13 laps in. He is well on his way to back-to-back victories. That'll give him a 100% starting ratio, point scoring ratio for the start of the season. And yeah, with a talent like this, it's hard to see anyone massively overturning him. He might have a couple of off courses during the season as well, but even if he does, I don't see him dropping any place further than the podium, Ewan, because the pace, the consistency, the strategy is just absolutely on point.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Based on what we've seen at the moment, you know, he's even got speed to get strategy wrong, I think, and still make it at the moment. But there you go. He'll be hoping that he doesn't get it wrong and he can just dominate in the way that he has done so far tonight. Still battles ongoing here in the post pit stop order. But Boone, what have you seen in terms of changes here to the order? It's very much more spread out towards the front. Who are the bigger sort of winners and losers for your money from that pit stop cycle we've now seen complete?
I mean, the big winners so far. Oh,
good.
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Please take it away. You're a pit strategy guy. I'm looking at telemetry.
All right. The biggest winner towards the front of the field that I think we've seen so far is probably Oscar Dobbins. He's up 4 spots, and we saw that he's been sort of in that conversation for the podium even before the pit cycle, but he's moved up into 3rd now, and he's solidly in that podium place. He's 2.5 seconds up on Jeremy Newton, whose extremely early pit stop with the off strategy seems to have worked out quite well for him, but the concern for Jeremy now is going to be if he can stretch the fuel. Other than that, it seems like Chris Fitzgerald has been up 15 positions in this race so far. I don't think a lot of that's been on pit strategy, but he's certainly benefited from a timely stop.
It's good to point out because he's by far and away the biggest mover forward or backwards actually from today. Unfortunately, Lewis Bahadja is the one who's been moving backwards, but very impressive from Fitzgerald, who started dead last in this field. Didn't set a time in qualifying from what I saw, but is now moving through, and it's always an impressive sign. We'll see whether he can get to the top 10 here, John. The gaps aren't very large in front, and it would be nice to see someone right from the back of the field sneak into the top 10, and he's got more than 10 laps to do it.
He does, yeah. It would be an impressive feat, especially in this field and on this course. We've seen today the course really not kind to the drivers. A couple of loose back ends. I've seen drivers off on the gravel, but certainly Fitzgerald has been focused on one thing. In fact, if he does, he's currently running 5th in class as well, which is not too bad as showing. Sorry, 4th in class. My apologies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My baby brain is absolutely working overtime. Yes, Fitzgerald currently 5th in class, with Dobbins leading the way, but certainly Fitzgerald up 15 places in the once Meta McLaren. He's looking to make the Meta great once again, and yeah, 15 places around here with 15 laps gone. If he continues that trend, he's on for the race win, but it will be some going if he is going to catch Matt Webber. But certainly, if style points are getting handed out today, I would say Fitzgerald is top of the list, because his style has been as smooth as you like. We've already had a mention of Mark Webber. Well, this could be Carlos Sainz here, because a very smooth operator. He's been behind the wheel of the McLaren. I'm not even going to apologise for that joke. And yeah, 15 places he's made up. We do have more battles going on with Corbett in the Ferrari. We've seen him a few times in battles so far in the race, mostly up against Porsches, Ewan. He's now up against a Lamborghini as they go side by side, attempt to go side by side in through Lecum and Malmedy, and it is the Ferrari that is pressing the buttons here. Corbett really giving Newton a run for his money in that Lamborghini just now.
This is not a 3-car battle, by the way, don't be mistaken, by Martin Walker, who's just in behind in 24th place, already put a lap down in this race so far. It is just Corbett versus Newton, although to be fair, Bradley Austin's not that far away, so we could see him catch up, but he's not in that Porsche, who is directly behind these two at the moment. This is the highest place being fought over at the moment, though, between two drivers who are nose to tail. As Boone has mentioned, Oscar Dobbins ahead of both of these guys pretty much exclusively because of pit strategy there. Up 4 places now on the day, and into the podium positions after that pit stop cycle. Still 10 laps to go, and that's looking good for him to hold on to that. As we look at Matthew Colvin, Patrick Robinson and Ben Christian here, Boone, what is the weather radar saying at the moment? I just noticed it getting a little bit more gloomy overhead at the moment. There's a 1 in 4 chance of it raining at some stage in this race, and is it right to say that any time from about now is when we'd be expecting it, sort of towards the end of this race here?
It's certainly starting to look a little bit gloomier here, but right now there's still plenty of patches of sunlight on the track, like what we're seeing these drivers go through right now. It's not too much different than the conditions at the start of the race were, so if I was any of these guys, I would not necessarily be expecting rain. If it's going to come, it's going to come in probably the last 2 to 3 laps of the race, and at that point it might be worth trying to stay out on slicks and squeeze as many positions as you can. At this stage of the race, though, I would not be considering rain to be a major factor. You can't take it completely out of your mind, obviously. You have to be ready for it, but you can't count on the rain as part of your strategy anymore in the race. It doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I agree. And as you say, in any case, it does arrive really late, then you're just going to try and survive. But, you know, then again, I have seen races where that seems like the obvious thing to do, but it's rained with 3 laps to go, and the rain is so heavy when it arrives that actually even wet tyres for 3 laps was the right call, and so you just never know how it's going to happen. It's a great system, the iRacing weather system, since it's been introduced. It did take a while to come, but it has delivered some fantastic races, that is for sure. This is lapped traffic trying to stay out of the way. That's David Carney, who's already been in pit lane on a couple of occasions, once for incidents and another for his actual pit stop. It's going very slowly into the pit lane here as well with Rob Tilley, who I think Is this for his second stop or not? Maybe that was just a drive-through penalty, but anyway, he's come through the pit lane there, and he's down to 18th position now as well. The instant limit, to be fair, John, is something we often used to talk about around here at Spa. It has got a little bit easier in recent years, but nevertheless, that has called a few people out already.
It has, yeah. We've seen a few drivers picking themselves up penalties before. I think 4 or 5 black flags so far. David Carney currently on one. I think Buhagiar picked one up. De La Rosa picked some up as well. Buhagiar now out of the race after that massively unfortunate contact. He was hoping to just bring home as many points as he could this week. Just finish the race. He really doesn't like Spa, and appears Spa is not a big Lewis fan either. And the crabbing that we saw has led to his retirement, so he is out after breaching the points limit as well. He's in the pits. David Carney is going to be back in for a drive-through very shortly, as we've got Corbett and Newton still battling away with Justice now in 8th position, 2.5 ahead of Meder. Meder and Scully are the two that are still going at it in that little group as they come into turn number 1. He pulls out with a slipstream too far back for a send there, and they both safely make it through. But with 17 laps gone, it is the Matt Webber show at the start of the broadcast. I mentioned he's 11 seconds up the road. We're going to have to rewrite the thesaurus to come up with superlatives to describe this man's driving style, because I'm already running out. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Let's go with that, because he is absolutely schooling it up at the top, and his lap consistency as well. The consistency of his times, Ewan, is just absolutely mind-blowing, because the Mustang's not the easiest car to drive around here as well. Let's take that into consideration too.
No, it's not, and you know, it's I think it's very big for anywhere really, but it is an impressive performance again from Matt Webber here. He's 8 laps at the end of this one away from a victory. David Carney's got a flag there next to his name I've not seen before, other than the fact it looks like the Scotland flag from here. I don't know what that is all about. Maybe he's been disqualified for the instant points, because you do get an initial drive-through. Yes, we have got confirmation it is a a DQ for failing to serve his black flag. But in any case, you can actually get disqualified for getting too many incidents as well. You'll get an initial drive-through, which almost serves as a bit of a warning that if you go further, you're going to be out of the race completely. Unfortunately, we've seen our first driver falling afoul of that down the back end of the field. Yeah,
an unfortunate one. But yeah, the track limits here. Wait for no driver. Was these two going to go side by side? Out of Blanchimont. Is he going on? Wow, that is a clumsy contact on the way into the corner exit. That was almost a push to pass there. The Ferrari is going to lose out because he's on the inside line, but certainly some rambunctious overtaking attempts, I think it's safe to say there, by our Ferrari driving Shannon Corbett, and Jeremy Newton doing well to fend them off there. That has created a bit of a gap between them, but is that gap only going to serve to give Corbett that extra slingshot of slipstream that he needs to potentially get an overtake done? But certainly Corbett, Ewan, showing that he is not afraid of an overtaking attempt, even if it does mean full ice hockey elbows out.
Absolutely. Slipstream for Corbett again here. We've seen many attempts in the past in towards Lecon, but just not able to work now. A switch to the inside, a late one in towards Lecon, and contact! There's definitely contact at the end of it, and I think Corbett feels responsibility for that. Newton goes into a spin. Austin slips through. There's more gravel on the racetrack. David Noden's right in there as well, and he's got to take advantage immediately here. Looks to the inside, switches to the inside. Oh dear, and look at the damage on the front end of that Ferrari. David Noden up to 6th position, and it looks like Corbett might have damage after that contact, which I'm not entirely sure was the fault of the Ferrari driver there, but we'll have to see on replay whether it was or not. In any case, Corbett slows and Noden goes straight through, and Corbett definitely has damage, I would say, as well.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely carrying damage. Goes to the inside. Oh yeah, that's a close one. We'd have to see that one from the rear. We do have a live steward in, so if there are any penalties from this little incident. We will see a lot of gravel getting thrown on the track as well. That is not going to help the drivers coming in behind, but that is certainly contact and damage, and you can see the Ferrari absolutely hemorrhaging time now. But what it's done actually is put David Noden in the same place, same position as the top 2 drivers in the field. It's back to his starting position. Only 4 drivers still running where they started the race, and thanks to that mistake by Corbett, he's just been overtaken by Justice as well. So Corbett's Ferrari is absolutely losing time. Don't be fooled by what you see on screen, folks. He has no front end on that car. We saw it ping off and ping back on again. I think he is going to have to come into the pits to get that repaired. Yes, he is, and that is going to be an absolute descent down the order. That is going to be like a roller coaster ride watching the rest of the field come past. He's going to need to get himself repaired as quickly as possible to get back out on track. But that is, an unfortunate. Wow, that's an overtaking attempt.
Yeah, it was. Whether that was intentional or not, I don't know. But Patrick Robinson there trying to get down the outside of Matthew Colvin in towards the final chicane, and that was. Interesting line into it. It seems to be a little bit damage on that Porsche, but nothing as bad as what we've just seen for Colwitt, indeed, who's just stopped. But anyway, this is the battle that's been left by that, really. Bradley Austin effectively given 2 free positions, and he's up into 4th now. But Jeremy Newton is just in front of David Noden. They're in 5th and 6th position. These two continue to fight it out. Impressive that Newton's actually been able to get back up to speed so quickly here, because when you spin, generally, you can take a while, or just a moment at least, to get back up to speed again.
Yeah, especially around a course like Spa. I mean, even at this section here, the cars can get up to quite some pace. There's always some place to get the legs stretched out, and if you lose any time at all, it really can be magnified. It's almost like the penalty line on Gran Turismo 7. If you know, you know. If you don't, consider yourself fortunate. But yeah, the amount of momentum you can lose, again, especially at a course like Spa, which has so many long straightaways for the cars to really unleash those top end RPMs. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Austin, though, as you said, Newton, did get himself back up to speed pretty handily, and he is managing to hold on to this 5th position overall, which is, of course, 4th in class. Oscar Dobbins currently leading the ARMS, and surprise, surprise, Matt Webber, 20 laps in, 15.5 second lead, has been absolutely unperturbed up at the top of the field. He's absolutely flown out of the gates. No momentum lost for him, no battles for him. It's just been an absolute Sunday drive. Much as it was last week at Daytona, his series dominance really is starting to show. He won, as Ewan mentioned in his opening, half the races that he attended last season to get himself a solid championship win, and he is looking to do even better than that this season by the look of it. Taking in the opening 2 races is certainly a statement, especially with Lewis Behager crashing out and not gaining any points this week. It does give him a massively uphill battle for the rest of the season. It is one that Lewis is up for, though, I can absolutely assure you. Having spoken to him yesterday, he might not like Spa, but he does like quite a few of the courses on this calendar. So I do think we will see a lot more podiums from him when we get him back out on track as of next week. Still some battles going on through the field, though. Pick your poison. We've got Newton versus Noden, we've got Justice versus Meader, we've got Fitzgerald versus Scully, and in fact Patrick Robinson and Matthew Colvin. This one could be interesting. Into the same corner again as we see some flashing light to distract the driver ahead, Ewan.
Yeah, absolutely. We see it time and time again. Long-term scepticism and just scepticism about whether it works or not, of course. But might as well do it anyway. Might work. You never know.
Yep.
And it's one of 3 two-car battles up and down the field. You can see Newton and Noden in another one of them, and Justice and Maida in another. Colvin and Robinson, though, are going side by side. Robinson briefly had his nose in front there, and does again now, actually, in the background on the way towards Pouon and through. So it would have been a dive at Bruxelles, I would imagine, but there was a bit of turning and throwing there before Robinson definitively got through into 13th position.
Yep, unlucky for some, certainly not unlucky for Robinson as he gets the move done. He does have the mighty Mercedes behind him though, very close as the head out with the campus complex into Stavolo once again. We've seen just how important this corner exit here can be. They both keep it fairly well planted, but that Porsche is just so nimble through the twisty stuff. The Mercedes absolutely left behind. We'll see if he can use any of the slipstream towards Blanchimont. You don't want to be too close here. It's after this curve, after that curve towards the chicane. This is where you want that momentum to count. The Porsche stays on the inside line, forcing the Mercedes onto the outside. Very nicely done, as we've got a yellow flag for Bradley Austin. Oh,
Yep,
these two are going to go side by side out with the last corner. Sorry, Ewan, and is the Mert going to get this done in a turn one maybe?
He's going to have to switch to the inside. There he goes. Oh, and Robinson reacts. Well, that's... Oh, dear. And they're going to take each other out. Dear, oh, dear. And Colwyn hasn't got the turning circle to stay on the racetrack almost. Here comes Ben Christian, who looks at these two and thinks, what are they doing? And rightly so as well, in towards turn one. They were chasing each other down the road. Colvin went for the switch back. You could see it happening from a mile away, or at least I could. And Robinson clearly couldn't see it happening because he reacted in his defence, and that's not normally looked on too kindly. If you see a driver switching from one side to the other in behind you and you react to that, I think that is not looked on too kindly, and we'll see whether the stewards decide to do anything about that post-race, but that was pretty clumsy between both of them into La Source.
It was, yeah, like you say, you can make one defensive move, and that was more than a defensive move, it looked like there. So we will have Matthew Serrell, who does race here at TRL as well. He has taken the thankless task of being the steward today. We've got him here tucked away in the corner of the commentary box. We've actually lost Boone due to his internet, unfortunately. We'll hopefully get him back before the end of the broadcast. But we do have Matthew Serrell tucked away in a broom cupboard. He has been presiding over the race. It looks like it's been pretty clean so far. And in fact, I'll tell you what, because we don't have Boone, I wonder how Matthew feels about making his debut on the broadcast. Matthew, are you there? And would you like to give us an update on some of the penalties that we've seen so far?
I am here, and so far all the penalties that have been given out so far have mostly just been incident count ones. Carney racked up 2 black flags. He failed to serve the second one, which resulted in his disqualification. And the Lewis Bahaja one, he actually racked up too many incident points as well after his contact with Mita. So everything has just been all incident counts so far.
Nice, so there we go then. Matthew Serrell joining us, as I say. He is going to be stewarding the races as Ewan and I marshal over the action, which is coming thick and fast. This Lamborghini, Ewan, has been involved in quite some battles so far. It's now his turn to try some overtaking rather than defending, and he does look like he's got the drop on Noden at the moment.
Yeah, it does. In towards the Lecombe section though. Newton getting close again, and again very impressive the way that he's been able to pick himself up here from that difficulty earlier on, and now is suddenly really applying the pressure to Noden. What's that incident with Corbett I'm referring to, of course. Corbett down to 12th place now, but Newton has got the chance to get back into the top 5 again. There's only 3 laps to go when they get to the line here, but the pressure that's being put on Noden at the moment is pretty impressive, and you think that, yeah, Newton has got a decent chance at maybe making his way past in these very last laps of the race.
Yeah, wow, we've only got 3 laps left. Where has the race gone? Yeah, 22 laps in. We've got 3 laps left of round number 2 here at TRL Road Season 2. We did have a dust up in Daytona, and we have had some serious action here at Spa, and it is continuing into the closing stages. Of course, it's not up at the front. Just a quick reminder, this is Matt Webber, folks. He's had no camera time at all because he decided to simply run off into the distance. He's probably lapped half the field as well, and he is 15 seconds in the lead. Nicholas Heath has had an absolutely solid race as well. He's held on to second place. Another driver that's had little to no camera time, but if you're going to disappear off into the distance, then this will happen because there's an overtake potentially going on with Newton and Noden. No, he's not quite close enough. Oh, that's a bit of a mess the Mercedes has made through that final chicane. The Lamborghini is going to have the run. They're going to be side by side. Who is going to yield this time? The Mercedes has got the inside line. He can still make a defensive move. He decides to just drift over. He's left enough room on the outside for the Lambo. Is he going to try the cutback? He is indeed. He's going to run up the first corner. He's not close enough to get the cutback, but they are separated by nothing more than a lollipop stick at the moment, Ewan, as we head for a Rouge and Radillon once again.
Yeah, it's very, very close between these two. Oh, that's a bit wide. Not quite the line you want there from Newton at all as he goes over the top of the hill. Now into the slipstream of David Noden. I'm not sure he can have his chance this time round. In fact, there's going to be a chance further behind, by the way, for Samuel Maida, who's just in behind Darren Justice, who spent so much of this race on the defensive, not for 6th anymore, but for 7th this time. Maida was bump drafting him quite late on in the straight, and that was a bit unusual, but they've got it through nicely. They're on 3 laps to go now as they've started this one, and Chris Fitzgerald is just in behind them as well. You can see him sniffing around at the moment. He has a look down the inside. Well, barrels down the inside indeed. Goes too deep, in fact, and Sammy Maida just retakes that place straight away again.
Yeah, if anyone does have a soundboard and they do have the Leroy Jenkins sound effect, please feel free to play that one very loudly, because that was a full send. Postman Pat himself would have been proud of that one. He did run massively deep though. Another driver taking some beautiful avoiding action though there. Maida saw that one coming, as we did in the commentary box, and a literal mile away, managed to get himself out of the way, and Fitzgerald managed to get himself right out of the track limits there. Oh, and he's done it again. Sorry, that's Maida this time, just touching the sand, so a bit ropey as we come to the end of the stint. That is 24 laps in. We've not got much track time left for the drivers to sort this one out. And certainly Jeremy Newton, another driver, looking to get himself further up the field. This won't yield him any more class points. This is more just a pride thing. He's currently got one of the silver drivers ahead of him. Directly ahead, he's got 2 ahead of him so far. Dobbins looking phenomenal up at the front of the field. 3rd place overall, and we've got more action into turn number 1 potentially. Has the Lamborghini driver found the chink in the armour? No, he has not. Let's quickly look back to Maida and see what's going on with them into turn number 1. Oh, they're keeping it spicy, and we've even got an overtake attempt going further down the field. Brodie Daff with a couple of off tracks and a couple of incidents early on. He's had to come in and get himself some fairly major repairs done in the pits, but it hasn't quelled his appetite for overtakes. He's got Rob Tilley just ahead of him. This could be an absolute ding-dong battle right down to the end, Ewan, but we've got Newton and Noden still absolutely going at it. The first driver to blink here will lose out big time.
Yeah, absolutely. As Newton continues to apply the pressure here to David Noden. He'll have a little look down the inside there, but he won't manage it on the way into Brussels, and it looks like Fitzgerald is past Maida as well for good in 8th position. We're on the penultimate lap though. I was going to get Boone's thoughts on who we thought has done best today, but I'll get yours instead, John, since he's struggling to stay connected at the moment. For me, it's hard to look past Chris Fitzgerald, to be honest. We have not seen much of him really, but he's just been ghosting his way through the field. Now up to 8th position, 18 places gained. Is an extraordinary effort, really.
It's an absolutely Herculean effort. We've seen multiple instances in the race so far of drivers just the back end of the car getting lost. A little touch of the gravel, you lose positions. None of that for Fitzgerald. He's currently on a drive at the moment. I would say is more impressive than Matt Webber. I mean, Matt's been very impressive, very quick, very consistent, took pole position. He's not really had much traffic to deal with, whereas Fitzgerald here has made up 18 places while carving his way, he's done the race while carving his way past 18 other drivers. He started with no time on the board, and he's made it up into the top 10. Again, absolutely Herculean effort, but it is the start of the final lap, so we should probably, Ewan, get a bit of camera time at least for the Mustang driver up at the front. We will be changing his name in the standings to Mark Webber, and that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, It is an incredible gap. He's actually got to slow down at the very end here. Nearly 18 seconds his gap. It's just going to be pared back slightly, but he absolutely hasn't looked back ever since he took the race lead on the opening lap after getting pole, of course. Let's see where Jeremy Newton gets to here with David Noden. One last chance really for an overtake. One last battle in this race, it looks like, on lap 25. He switches from one side to the other. Newton on the outside line is going to make contact. He wanted to really, I think, to go in deeper there and run right round the outside, but it turns out that wasn't possible. And he sticks behind David Noden, or has to stick behind David Noden in the end. It looks like that driver, that Mercedes, is going to stay in the top 5 by the end of the day, but let's wait and see on that. Matt Webber, meantime, is into the final corners of this race. He's coming towards Blanchimont now, in fact. He won half of the races he attended last season in Season 1 of the Tasman Racing League Road Series. Well, he's 2 for 2 so far this season as well. After winning at Daytona last week, he's going to go on to win at Spa this week as well. Matt Webber, through the final corners, wins round 2 of the Tasman Racing League Road Series in Season 2. It's Matt Webber by over 17 seconds at Spa.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Victory flashes of the lights for Webber. He's gone for the Holy Trinity again. He's taken pole position, he's taken the race win, he's taken the fastest lap. And yeah, there's probably a few more jokes I can throw in there, but we'll leave them till after the watershed. Across the line comes Nicholas Heath. Another absolutely solid drive for Heath. He's hardly been mentioned on the broadcast, Ewan, but he started in second, he held second when everything else was going on around him, so a phenomenal win. Second place for him, and Oscar Dobbins wins in silver to finish on the overall podium, so he will be exceptionally happy with his performance as well.
Oh no, what's going on here? Chris Fitzgerald, don't ruin it at the end as he tries to get past Darren Justice, and who, oh dear, flashes his lights strongly. And we'll go back and have a look what happened between those two. That looked a bit ugly at the end of the race between the two of them. Chris Fitzgerald on the out. He's already got a bit of damage to front end, by the way. Goes to the outside through the first part. He's a bit wide and a bit deep. And oh dear, oh dear. That is,
wow.
Well, we were just complimenting Fitzgerald on his run through the field, but I'm afraid that was not so clever.
No, that is a little bit of a black mark on the copybook. I would say gets some 19 places overall, but that was a full-blooded send. It is safe to say towards the end of the field. For some reason, my cameras are not responding. There we go. We'll get the finish line there as the rest of the drivers come across the field. But yeah, the highlights there: Webber, Heath, and Austin on the pro podium. Dobbins, Nodden, and Fitzgerald on the silver podium. Ewan, yeah, welcome to TRL, my man. What a race that was.
Absolutely. We'll get Boone's thoughts as well just before we go to interviews and race results at the end here tonight. Boone, who's really stood out for you? Me and John were just giving our compliments to Chris Fitzgerald before we saw that last lap there and gaining 19 places on the race. Who really stood out for you tonight?
Obviously Webber, obviously Fitzgerald, but a couple names I want to highlight are Nicholas Heath, who drove a fantastic race start to finish. Obviously, he had a bit of a nightmare start on lap 1. He plummeted 5 or 6 positions in the standings, but he got back up there and he managed to run in second for pretty much the entire race. He was incredibly consistent, and he was probably my standout driver of the race.
It was a good run to get into second position in the end, and quite comfortably actually ahead of Oscar Dobbins and the rest. There is your results. Webber, Heath and Dobbins, as we mentioned, top 3. We'll chat to them in a sec. Bradley Austin is in 4th place in front of David Noden, second in silver. Then Jeremy Newton, who was just in behind Noden at the end, tried to get past him for a long time. Chris Fitzgerald gets past Darren Justice on the final corners there, but the stewards might have something to say about that. Then it's Samuel Maida and Stephen Scully round out the top 10. Tim Pattinson next ahead of Shannon Corbett, who dropped down quite late on, unfortunately. Matthew Colvin, Ben Christian and Zach Vlitstra rounding up the top 15. Those others on the lead lap include Patrick Robinson, Greg Goodfellow, Brody Duff and Rob Tilley, with 1 lap down for Carl Douglas and Martin Walker. 5 laps down for Jay Stern, and the non-finishers, maybe Stern didn't finish actually, but anyway, definite non-finishers: David Carney, Joe De La Rosa, Lewis Bahadja, and non-starter Scott White. who is at the back of the field. Matthew Searle has just let us know that the Fitzgerald Justice incident we see at the end will be looked over by the stewards in post-race review, so we'll keep an eye on that in the next few moments. But in the meantime, let's chat to the race winner, shall we? Matt Webber, who's taken this race by 17.9 seconds in the end. Matt, congratulations on a race victory tonight. You're second in the first two races of the new TRL Road Series. And just how easy actually was it in the car for you tonight? Because you certainly made it look easy.
Oh, mate, look, just got out ahead and just groundhogged it again. I like Spa. I've done a lot of laps around here, so not so many in the Mustang, a lot in the BMW and the McLaren in longer endurance events. But yeah, it was interesting to see how the Mustang would go around Spa, and yeah, had some issues in some certain corners, but once I worked them out and just kept my nose clean, I just sort of managed to gap behind me, and it just grew a little bit each lap, and I thought, well, this is comfortable. But I had a bad incident because I almost ran out of fuel. I actually ran out of fuel going into the pits. I was like bumping and gurgling all the way down to my pit box, and I had to make a call right at that point, and I said, no, I'll get one more lap. So I sort of lifted and coasted on that last lap, and I just made it to my pit man. And then through all that kerfuffle, I didn't uncheck my tyres, so I swapped 3 tyres. So I had 3 cold and 1 warm, and then that's sort of my incident in the pits.
That doesn't sound particularly nice to come out with, 3 cold tyres and 1 warm. Are there any circuits on this schedule maybe that you're not particularly a fan of, because that might offer some hope to some of the others based on what we've seen so far in these first 2 rounds? And relating to that, are you worried about getting the Mustang to fit around Adelaide?
No, I think it's quite a good car for Adelaide. I did a couple of races in another league race maybe 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it was felt really good. So I'm looking forward to Adelaide. It's a new track. It's tight. It's sort of got some Belle Isle feels and to it. So I'm actually looking forward to Adelaide. Then Phillip Island's one of my favourites after that. So I don't know. And Road Atlanta, they just keep coming. VIR might be a bit weak, and actually the one is Le Mans. I have not done many around there, so that'll be the one I'll have to actually do some pracky on.
I'm only half joking about Adelaide. It is quite a big car. Congratulations on winning tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Matt Webber, who wins tonight by 17.9 seconds in the end over Nicholas Heath, who also joins us now. Nicholas, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Second place finish as well for yourself. But it wasn't second place all the way through, certainly. I mean, tell us about the start of the race and how you felt afterwards, because you did lose a couple of positions off the start.
Oh, I made that hard for myself, didn't I? We'll trying to keep it 2x2 out of the last turn onto the main straight. You get pinched so tight to the left, just trying to make the corner. I mean, the McLaren's a pretty wide car on its own, and I think I might have lightly grazed Matt Webber's left door, but and then I kind of had to, I think, slow down a bit because I got ahead of him, and then he went, and then I got kind of passed by P3 and 4. I think I was down to P5 down the Kimmel, and then it was trying to chase down P2. P3 got me, and I think P3 spun. Then the Lambo in second pitted real early, and then it was just doing lap after lap, trying to foolishly close the gap to Matt ahead. So, yeah.
Just how do you keep yourself sort of, or keep your head on really after a moment like that? Because you must have gone into that first lap with ambition of, challenging for the race lead, at least early on. And as you say, you did make a slight bit of contact with Matt coming towards the start. But to completely have to change your ambitions and change what's in front of you there, how do you sort of keep your head on in that scenario?
Oh, I mean, unless Matt didn't start the race, I wouldn't have had no real chance really to get close. But so it's not disheartening to hear, but hearing him almost run out of fuel into the pits kind of gave me hope, because the gap, I think, came down about 2.5-3 seconds. So I thought, oh, here we go. And then it just started climbing again. So it was just trying to maintain that gap to P3 behind for the rest of it.
Well, congratulations on doing that and finishing in second place tonight. And thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Cool, thanks guys.
Thanks very much, Nicholas Heath, second place tonight, just in front of completing 3 different nationalities, by the way, on the podium, which is unusual. Oscar Dobbins finishing in third place as well tonight. Oscar, congratulations on a podium finish and the silver win, I guess, as well. How did you manage that tonight in what around you was quite a congested group, especially early on? How did you manage your way through the race?
Yeah, it's a tricky track, but I think being a Brit, I'm a bit more comfortable around the European tracks. The Australians are definitely good around the Australian ones, and with Adelaide coming up, I bet they'll be good. But yeah, it comes to Spa, I can kind of hold my own a little bit.
Yeah, no, maybe there is something in that. How much sort of racing, though, have you done on Adelaide, prior to next week's race, or is it all to come in the coming week here before before next week's round 3?
I did a little bit. I think it was part of the week 13 of the last season of 2025. So I've got a little bit in there, but that's kind of it, really. So we'll see how it goes. It's a tough track, especially kind of turn 1 and 2. It's easy to make a mistake, but yeah, it's a fun one.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations on third place tonight, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Oscar Dobbins who chatted to us there. Third place, Nicholas Heath second, and Matt Webber in first place here tonight from Spa. That's just about it from us tonight. I mean, again, John, domination from Matt Webber there at the front of the field. 18 seconds the gap, and others now are going to be seriously thinking about, and there almost seems to be an air of resignation about what they were saying there as we were chatting to them. They almost seem to be resigned to the fact that Matt Webber is going to be almost impossible to catch here this season.
Yeah, it's one of those things you see at the bookmakers, league betting without. And without Matt Webber, this is a very, very, very close field. There is going to be some close battles. There's going to be some very close finishes towards the end of the season. But Matt Webber is an absolute steam train, and he is already very much up to full speed. And with Lewis Bahadur not finishing the race and not picking up any points, it does put him at a huge deficit going forward. But certainly Heath and Dobbins with some great results today. But yeah, as you say, Ewan, the Matt Webber show rolls on to next week, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. And Boone, next week it is Adelaide at the start of our Australian doubleheader. Adelaide is the one that really out the two sticks out to me. That is going to be a tight and technical racetrack with a lot of drivers trying to make space at a circuit where there isn't very much.
It's going to be a difficult course. And I think the thing that's going to stand out at Adelaide is if any drivers have had practice in it in previous races or previous official sessions, they're going to have a huge advantage just because it is so new. Most people, I don't think, have gotten the chance to drive the course yet. I think a lot of our drivers are going to be buying it the week of, and those drivers like Matt Webber, who have already had the opportunity to get practice, are going to have an advantage. Like Webber needs more of an advantage. But I think anyone who's had the chance to drive that track is certainly going to feel a bit more comfortable with it. And it's going to be very car dependent as well, I'm sure.
Yep, we'll talk about all of that, of course, as we build up to next week's race in the Tasman Racing League Road Series here from Adelaide, coming to you in 1 week's time. We'll be live same time, same place with that broadcast coming up on TrackSpotTV, as I mentioned, in 7 days' time. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. For now, I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside John Wright and Boone Blake in the commentary box here of this broadcast tonight. This has been the Spa round of the Tasman Racing League Road Series. We'll be back in 1 week's time from Adelaide. Just look forward to seeing you then. But from all of us for now, it's goodbye.